Welcome kindreds, it's Jessica the Story Witch, and this is the video for letter T in the A to Z of Modern Witchcraft series that I'm making here on my channel. And T is for tools. Now this is something that I've seen a few people talk about really well. I think I've seen Kelley Maddox talk about this, Egyptian, and there was somebody else as well whose video on this was really cool. I'll dig them out anyway and I will link them down below for you. It's a topic that comes up a lot, often in relation to things like consumerism and things like that with, you know, like tools. It's like if you got the tools, you know, you look the part and you've got the things, you know, especially if you are posting on Instagram or making YouTube videos. If you've got the stuff, often it looks like you kind of know more what you're doing. But, you know, it's very much like the same as the saying, like when people are all kind of, they've got all the gear but no idea. You don't necessarily, just because somebody's got loads of tools doesn't mean they know how to use them properly. They might, you know, somebody might have loads of tools and they do know how to use them properly, in which case great, you know, but it's not something that definitely, like if somebody's got all the tools, all it shows is that they've spent a lot of money on it usually. Exactly the same like if you see a guy or a girl open their garage and, you know, it's full of power tools and you'd be like, whoa, you must be really good at DIY. Not necessarily. Having the tools does not prove knowledge and experience. Knowing how to use them does. And also kind of knowing when you don't need them. Yeah, so basically, I seem to be saying that all the time today as well. Basically this, basically that. I'm trying to film a few videos in this series to kind of get ahead, ready, because I know it's going to start getting really hectic towards the end of this year. So sorry if I'm, you know, looking the same as I did in the last video and probably in the next few videos. So the way I think about it is like, what is a tool? A tool is something that makes a job that you need to do easier to do. So like before humans had tools, we would have to kind of, if we wanted to break something, you know, how would we break it? Well, we started using tools, and the most kind of like primitive tools would be like if we had a nut we wanted to crack or something like that, you know, we could put it on a rock and we could hit it with another rock and that would open it. And in that instance, that rock is a tool, you know, it's a really primitive tool, but it does the job. And then as we kind of evolved and developed different tools, they kind of got a bit more specialized for certain things. So like, you know, you can get tools, you can get super specific tools now, you know, like, I don't know, for kind of DIY type tools don't really interest me really. And I'm not a kind of tool heavy person in general because, well, probably because I'm a bit stingy. I don't like to accumulate stuff for the sake of it, you know. I love seeing other people's pictures of their gorgeous setups with loads of gorgeous tools, but I'm not one of these witches who will say, right, you know, you have to keep this, I'll buy 10 pestle and mortars because I use this pestle and mortar only for this particular use, and I use this one for this particular use, and this one is for kitchen use only. I don't use that for magical use, you know. I don't feel like that's necessary. That is not because of the way that I work and my kind of personal ethos. I'm quite happy to use the same knife that I use to cut my vegetables. If I need a knife for ritual purpose, that I'll use a knife, you know. What is it? Again, going back to what I was talking about really in the S is for substitution video, it's like, what is the thing for? What is a knife for? It's for cutting stuff, usually. You know, you can use it for other things, but that's not really what it's for. It's been designed to cut things. And so when you're using it in ritual, you are usually using it to cut something, and it might be to symbolically cut something or to symbolically cut something representing something else, but it is still fulfilling its function as cutting something, you know. So I totally don't have a problem with people who keep their magical tools separate from their mundane tools, but it's just not something that I felt like I need to do, you know. I've got like a small I suppose I do have some tools which I only use magically, but that is more because they don't really work for other things, you know. They're only for that. So like I do have a small cauldron which I use for certain things, you know. It's you know, it's small. Is it reachable? No, it's over there, so I'm not going to get that to wave it around. But so obviously I wouldn't use that if I was for kitchen magic, because, you know, I wouldn't be able to make anything much in it. I've got huge pots and pans that I use for that, you know, which I keep in my kitchen because that is the best place to have the tools that I'm going to need while I'm in the kitchen, you know. So yeah, that is kind of the point that I wanted to make, really, that you use tools for a specific purpose, and you use tools to make a job easier. So, you know, if you're cooking for a large number of people, you're going to want a big pot. And you're going to want a sharp knife for cutting up your veggies, you know. It's the right tools for the job. And some tools make things easier, but tools only make things easier if you know how to use them. So I don't tend to buy new tools unless I'm trying to do something and I realise, oh God, this would be much easier if I bought another tool, if I bought this particular thing, you know. So, although saying that, I usually inconvenience myself many times. You know, how many times I've burnt myself on little charcoal discs before I finally got a little tong. You know, that's a perfect example of when a tool is really helpful, you know. If you're doing things with fire and you don't want to be burning your fingers, then it's good to have tools for these things, you know. So yes, being able to use them. But if you've got something and you don't really know how to use it, like for my kind of type of magic, which is much more kind of low magic, not at all ceremonial magic, I do bring some aspects in sometimes, but it's not really the kind of thing I do. Like the idea of me kind of like wielding a ceremonial sword, I just find that humorous, you know, because I know it's just not me. It's not something that I'm gonna do, you know. So it would be the same as like me being given an angle grinder. I don't know what the hell to do with that. It's not gonna make it easier for me because I don't know how to use it. So the long and short of it is, you know, I want to make this a fairly kind of short video, is that choose the tools. You don't need to rush out and buy a load of tools, definitely not. If you like collecting things, then by all means collect them, that's great, you know. But most of the time you can find the things you need lying around the house, or when you need something, I find the thing you need presents itself. So you will see it in a shop maybe, or perhaps somebody will say, oh, do you want this bake stone, you know, or things will present themselves as you need them when you're ready to start using them. And again, I find it's better to kind of start smaller. I feel like I'm saying this in all my videos. It's just the way I like to work. I prefer to keep things really simple if I can, and then if I do need something then that will make my life easier and make things easier, then get the tool, you know. And like sometimes you just want something because it's just so beautiful and gorgeous, and you know it's going to be lovely. Like for quite a long time now I've been really got my eye on those big crystal singing bowls, and you can get them in all different sizes which make different notes. And I've been to a few sound baths where people have used these. They're gorgeous. And you can even fill them with water, and then when you play them, you know, just like a normal singing bowl, but like on a much bigger scale, it's like, it's just, oh, your whole body just vibrates, you know, with this. And if you fill them with water, it changes the tone, and it also, you can like kind of infuse the water with the sound, and then you can then drink the water. I was just like, but they're so expensive, and I know for the amount of use that I would get out of it at the moment, it's just not something that I can justify. Perhaps in the future, you know, perhaps, but I have my little singing bowl which does the same sort of job at the moment. And you know, it's the same with that, isn't it? Like with exactly like with DIY tools or with any other tools you might use. It's as like kitchen tools, you know, you make do with the things you've got, and then if you can upgrade, you know, if you know you're going to be using something, then most definitely it's worth it then. You know it's going to be worth it. It's not going to be something that's just kind of sat around and not being used, just looking pretty. So I think that was everything I wanted to say about tools. I'll try and find the links for those other videos, which were probably much more coherent than this one. And yeah. warmest blessings, guys, and I will see you very soon.